The morning sun peeked over the horizon, casting a soft glow on the rugged hills and valleys. This stark landscape, marked by sharp cliffs and dense forests, held a rich history filled with both beauty and conflict. The land was home to many Native American tribes, including the Kiowa, whose spirit thrived in the echoing valleys and beneath the vast skies. But now, it was also the site of a struggle between these tribes and settlers seeking new opportunities. Tension crackled in the air, fueled by misunderstandings and fear. The year was 1875, a turbulent time when settlers were pushing further into lands once claimed by indigenous peoples. Each side eyed the other with caution. Settlers saw opportunity where tribes saw encroachment. The rugged terrain told stories of ambushes, struggles, and uneasy truces hidden among the shadows of towering rocks. As dusk turned to night, whispers of danger stirred among the trees. Settlers dreaded crossing paths with roaming bands of Native Americans fierce in their protection of ancestral lands. And yet, amid this discord stood a solitary deputy. His heart was not just burdened by duty, it pulsed with unwavering resolve to bridge the divide between courage and compassion in a land caught in conflict. Deputy Eli Thompson was not just a lawman, he was a man burdened by the weight of his choices. Growing up on the outskirts of a small settlement, he had seen firsthand the struggles of both settlers and Native Americans. His father had been a farmer who lost his land to encroaching settlers, while his mother had shared tales of her Kiowa friends, instilling in him a deep respect for their culture. Eli's heart was torn. He wore the badge with pride but often questioned its true meaning in a world filled with injustice. His motivation to save the captive Kiowa woman, named Ayanna, came from something deeper than duty, it was personal. He felt an unspoken connection to her plight and recognized her as a symbol of everything he wished to protect, a life, a culture, a story. As he prepared for the rescue, thoughts raced through his mind. What if she was hurt? What if he failed? The fear of letting down both the Kiowa and his own people weighed heavily on him. Yet, it fueled his determination. He promised himself that he would do everything in his power to bring Ayanna back safely, bridging the gap between two worlds caught in turmoil. Ayanna was a young Kiowa woman known for her courage and resilience. With long, dark hair cascading down her back and sharp, intelligent eyes, she had become a respected figure among her people. A skilled hunter and gatherer, Ayanna often led her brothers during morning hunts, showcasing both strength and grace. Her laughter would fill the air as she shared stories of her ancestors around the fire, honoring their traditions while instilling hope in the younger generations. However, tragedy struck when settler raiders attacked her village one fateful night. Ayanna fought fiercely to defend her home, using her knowledge of the land to evade capture for as long as possible. But despite her bravery, she was overwhelmed by numbers and eventually taken captive. The loss left a void in her heart, not just for herself but for her family and culture, now at risk of fading away. In captivity, Ayanna remained defiant. Her spirit could not be easily broken, even when faced with threats from her captors, she held on to the hope of freedom. Each day became a test of endurance and resilience as she awaited a chance to escape. Little did she know that help was on the horizon in the form of Deputy Eli Thompson. The news of Ayanna's capture reached Deputy Eli Thompson on a brisk morning, carried by a frantic settler who stumbled into town. With wide eyes and shaking hands, the man recounted the attack, dark figures raiding the village while screams echoed through the valley. Eli's heart raced as he listened. Ayanna was not just a stranger, she was the embodiment of everything he held dear. Driven by a sense of urgency, Eli gathered his gear swiftly, knowing that time was not on his side. He strapped on his belt and holstered his revolver, every action fueled by determination. The settlers had already organized a search party to track down the raiders, but Eli felt compelled to act independently. He couldn't bear the thought of waiting for others when Ayanna needed him. With his horse saddled and ready, he dashed towards the destination where Ayanna was last seen. The rugged terrain would be dangerous, but Eli's resolve burned bright within him. He recalled her smile and laughter, which motivated him to push forward despite the risks ahead. This mission wasn't just about rescuing a woman, it was about standing up for what was right in a world riddled with conflict and fear. Eli rode hard, his horse galloping across the uneven terrain, the sun rising higher in the sky. The landscape was a mix of dense forests, rocky outcrops, and steep ravines, each turn presenting new challenges. He dodged low-hanging branches that threatened to throw him off course while navigating narrow paths that wound through thick underbrush. Every sound heightened his senses, the rustling leaves could hide danger, and the distant calls of birds reminded him of nature's unforgiving beauty. As he pressed on, Eli's thoughts remained fixed on Ayanna. He imagined her strength and resilience, which fueled his determination to reach her. But with each passing mile, doubts crept into his mind. What if he arrived too late? What if the raiders had already moved her further away? The weight of these thoughts pushed him to ride faster. Suddenly, the trail narrowed and steepened, forcing him to slow down. Eli dismounted and led his horse carefully along the edge of a rocky cliff. Below, a river rushed swiftly, its roar mingling with his pounding heart. As he continued, he remained vigilant for any signs of Ayanna or her captors, knowing that time was slipping away and with it, the opportunity to bring her back home safely. After what felt like hours of navigating through the wild, Eli crested a ridge and spotted a flicker of smoke rising in the distance. His heart quickened as he carefully made his way down the slope, peering through the dense trees to catch sight of the camp below. When he reached a vantage point, he crouched low, taking in the scene before him. The camp was a disarray of canvas tents and flickering campfires, with raiders milling about, their voices a blend of laughter and harsh commands. The smell of charred meat wafted through the air, mingling with the earthy scent of damp soil and pine needles. Eli's eyes narrowed as he scanned for Ayanna among the captives tied near a fire pit. Suddenly, he caught a glimpse of her familiar figure, her long hair streaming down her back as she spoke softly to another woman. The sight filled him with renewed energy and determination, but he knew he had to be cautious. The raucous noise of the raiders masked any quiet movements, yet Eli couldn't shake the feeling that danger lurked nearby. He formulated a plan in his mind. He would need to act swiftly and quietly if there was any hope of rescuing her without alerting the entire camp. Eli crouched low, waiting for the right moment. His heart raced as he watched the raiders move about the camp, their attention divided between their meal and idle chatter. He took a deep breath, focusing on Ayanna, her figure still tied near the flickering fire pit. Determined, he decided to create a diversion. Grabbing a small rock, Eli tossed it towards some nearby bushes, creating a rustling sound that caught the raiders' attention. As they turned to investigate, he quickly darted towards Ayanna, moving with stealth and speed. The moment was tense. He could hear the raiders start to shout at each other, confusion spreading through the camp. Reaching Ayanna, he knelt beside her and whispered urgently, "I'm here to help you." With swift fingers, he fumbled to untie her bonds while keeping an eye on the chaos erupting around them. Just as he freed her wrists, a raider spotted them and yelled out in alarm. Adrenaline surged through Eli as he grabbed Ayanna's hand. "Run," he commanded. They dashed away from the fire, hearts pounding in unison as they sprinted for cover amid the trees. The shouts of the raiders filled the air, and Eli's mind raced with strategies to evade capture and protect Ayanna as arrows began to fly overhead, landing dangerously close to them. Eli and Ayanna sprinted away from the chaos of the camp, weaving through the trees as arrows whizzed past them, narrowly missing their target. The dense underbrush slowed their escape, but Eli urged Ayanna to keep moving, his instincts guiding them deeper into the forest. Each rustle in the foliage sent a jolt of fear through him, reminding him that the raiders would soon pursue. As they reached a small stream, Eli realized they needed to slow down and think. "We can hide here for a moment," he whispered, crouching down beside Ayanna. They splashed water on their faces, hoping to wash away any traces of their escape. The coolness brought clarity to Eli's mind. He needed a plan. Suddenly, a distant shout echoed through the trees. Raiders were on their trail. Panic set in, but Eli's resolve hardened. He spotted a thick thicket ahead that could provide cover. "This way," he urged Ayanna, pulling her toward it. They pressed against the ground as the sounds of hooves and voices drew closer. Time felt suspended as they lay hidden, hearts pounding in sync with the approaching danger. Eli held his breath, praying they could evade detection long enough to regroup and find safety together. As Eli and Ayanna lay hidden in the thicket, the air was tense with silence, but that peace shattered as echoes of shouts sprang forth from the cliffs above. Eli's heart sunk. Raiders had spotted their movement and taken to higher ground. Suddenly, the sharp whistle of arrows sliced through the air, narrowly missing them as they ducked lower. "Stay down!" Eli hissed, adrenaline coursing through him. He could see figures darting along the ridge, their bows drawn and ready. Ayanna's eyes widened with fear, but Eli took her hand firmly. "We can't stay here," he urged, scanning the area for an exit. Just as he spotted a narrow path leading deeper into the woods, another arrow struck the ground mere inches from where they lay, sending dirt flying into the air. They had to move now. With a deep breath, Eli led Ayanna through the thick underbrush, pushing forward as more arrows rained down around them. Every instinct screamed for caution, but their only chance was to keep moving. Heart pounding, Eli shouted above the chaos, "Stick close to me." They navigated through the maze of trees while dodging arrows, determined to find safety before it was too late. The rush of danger heightened their senses, each moment was a test of courage and quick thinking as they fought for their lives. As they dashed through the forest, Eli and Ayanna moved in perfect harmony, a testament to their growing bond forged in desperation. Eli's tactical mind led the way, listening for the sounds of pursuit while scanning for possible hiding spots. Beside him, Ayanna matched his pace effortlessly, her eyes sharp and alert. "Take the left!" Eli shouted, spotting an opening amid the underbrush. Without hesitation, Ayanna pivoted, quick and agile, and together they dove behind a fallen log just as another arrow flew past them, embedding itself into the ground. "Can you climb?" Eli asked breathlessly as they crouched behind the log. Ayanna nodded, glancing up at the low-hanging branches above them. She understood his plan without needing further words. If they got off the ground, they might evade detection from the raiders above. Scaling the tree with fluid grace, Ayanna offered a steadying hand to Eli as he followed her up. Once safely perched among the branches, they nestled against each other for stability. From this vantage point, they could see the raiders searching below, their voices frantic as they called out to each other. With shared determination and a flicker of hope kindling in their hearts, Eli and Ayanna prepared to wait for the right moment to make their next move, knowing that their teamwork was their greatest weapon against adversity. After what felt like an eternity, Eli and Ayanna finally emerged from the dense forest, breathless but safe on the other side of a small ridge. They stumbled into a clearing that opened up to a tranquil valley, the sun casting warm light over the landscape. The sound of a bubbling brook brought them instant relief, its gentle music soothing their frayed nerves. As they paused to catch their breath, Eli turned to Ayanna, who stood with wide eyes, taking in their surroundings. "We made it," he said, his voice barely above a whisper. Ayanna nodded, a mix of disbelief and gratitude washing over her face. They had faced death together, every arrow that had whizzed past them felt like a reminder of how close they had come to losing everything. Reflecting on the harrowing experience, Eli felt pride swell in his chest, not just for himself but for Ayanna's bravery and resilience. They had relied on each other in ways neither had expected. As they sat by the brook, sipping water and resting against a large rock, they shared stories of their lives, their hopes and dreams, beginning to weave their futures together in this newfound safety. In that moment, amidst the peace of the valley, both Eli and Ayanna understood that their journey was far from over but felt fortified by the bond they had forged through adversity. As Eli and Ayanna sat beside the brook, they took a moment to reflect on their harrowing journey. The fear and chaos they had faced together forged an unbreakable bond between them, transcending the divisions that once separated their worlds. Eli thought about the many lives impacted by conflict, the pain of loss on both sides, and how survival often came at a high cost. "I never imagined I'd find myself fighting alongside a Kiowa woman," Eli admitted, his voice steady yet contemplative. Ayanna smiled softly, her eyes shining with gratitude and newfound understanding. And I never thought a settler would risk so much for my freedom. Their ordeal had taught them vital lessons about bravery, resilience, and the importance of empathy in a time of strife. They realized that each of their cultures held pieces of wisdom that could heal rather than divide, offering hope for a future where cooperation could replace conflict. As they began to plan their next steps, both Eli and Ayanna understood that their shared experience would shape their paths moving forward. With hearts full of hope and determination, they were committed to bridging the gap between their peoples. Each step taken together marked not just an escape from danger, but the dawn of a deeper understanding and partnership.